Good morning. Can you guys see me? Can you guys make some comments if you can see and or hear me? Good morning, good morning. I'm using some new technology so that I can hopefully show you some slides in a webinar. But I want to know if you can see me and hear me before I get going. Hi, April. Hi, Erin. Hi, everybody. Hi, North Carolina. Oh my God. Can you guys see me? Can you just if you can see me, give a shout. Yes and yes. Okay. You can see my face and you can hear me. Amazing. Okay, so let's talk about how to not let our bodies fall into the deep, dark pit of winter. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Leslie. Happy New Year's Eve, by the way. It's New Year's Eve, such a magical, amazing day and night of the year. And I just feel like we need to just take a breath and just arrive here together to chat about moving forward in a beautiful way this new year. So just deep breath in and out, and let's get going. Lots of people are here. I love that. Oh, the sound is a bit behind. We'll do our best. A big part of this is going to be me actually showing you slides. So it's okay if the sound is a wee bit behind. One thing I'll say, please feel free to type in questions, comments, whatever. I'll do my best to keep up with them. But I'll also probably get going into the material and then just check in here and there. So if I'm not checking all the time, it's just because it's easier if I just, deliver the information. So, who am I? Hi, good morning. I'm Jillian Murphy, creator of the Food Freedom Body Love Method. I help women stop feeling crazy around food and start loving and enjoying their bodies. And, it's a big statement to make. And there are a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, there's a handful of health practitioners out there who are claiming this. And it's a very new counterintuitive message that we are providing. My goal is to be the counter narrative to the diet culture that surrounds us, that tells us that our bodies aren't good enough and that we should be controlling our food, controlling our bodies, controlling our weight, and that there's just inherently always something wrong with us, something that needs fixing. And so my work is about challenging the, $40 billion industry that feeds off our insecurities, that tells us that there are things that are wrong with us so that it can then sell us things, Not an easy job. But that's why I'm so appreciative that you women are here, because every woman that starts to hear this message and pass it on, what I'm doing is growing a social movement. And I'm so excited that you are here with me to help me do that, because that's what we need. We need a social movement to combat this billion-dollar industry that makes women feel bad all the time. And so, why did I decide to do this webinar, how to not let your body fall into the deep, dark pit of winter today, because we're on the cusp of a new year and we are primed to want to make a change. We are primed to feel possibility. I feel it. I want to do it too. I feel the shift after a season of indulgence. My body is ready for a change too. With the season, my body is ready for a change. The problem is, again, going back to that idea about this industry, what we get fed at this time of year is just diet culture. More diet culture, more diet culture, more diet culture. And, we'll talk about it in a bit, but it tends to feed off insecurities, not provide success, continue to make us feel like we aren't good enough, and not provide long-term solutions. And so what I'm hoping to do today is to start a conversation about how we can get through the winter in a beautiful, healthy way that is primed for success instead of failure. So that's my goal. Let me I just want to, again, I'm using some new technology here, so just, bear with me as I figure it all out. Feel free to sort of, as I'm sorting this out, totally feel free to pipe in with who you are and what you're hoping to get out of this, and then hopefully I can address some of that for you. My presentation conked out, so I just have to get it up and running again. I'll just check in with you guys. So tell me a bit about why you're here and what you are hoping to get out of this that might be different from what you've heard already in the media. And I will wait for you guys. Presentation is loading. Just give me like 30 more seconds and we'll be off and running. And again, I'll click back and forth to sort of see what you guys are writing. Come on. My computer is deciding to be very slow on me. All right. Let's do this. So hopefully you guys can see the presentation. I'll check in a minute to see how that's going. But, I already sort of told you a little bit about me. Again, feel free to, pipe in with who you are, where you're coming from, what it is you're hoping to get out of this, and I'll circle back and make sure I cover some of that. So let me just check in really quickly. Can everyone see the presentation as well as me? Can you see the presentation and me? Looks good. Okay. I'm just Suzanne. I'm just engaged and already not looking forward to the whole lose weight for your wedding discourse. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure, right? A lot of pressure. And Tina's saying, felt my brain sliding back into the diet craze and thought a refresher would be good. Yes, absolutely. A refresher is a really, really good idea. Okay, so back to the presentation. Let's get going. So first of all, let's talk about, I sort of alluded to why I decided to do this presentation now. Does anyone know what the number one New Year's resolution is every single year? Every single year, the number one New Year's resolution is the same. And it is, drum roll, weight loss, right? Every single year, the number one New Year's resolution is weight loss. And that could also be hidden under like get healthy. Often when people say they want to get healthy, what they really mean is they want to lose weight. And what are we really hoping for, right? Like when we make a New Year's resolution, I think it's important, a big part of the work that I do and the way that the Food Freedom Body Love method works is understanding the cultural forces that are acting on us and what they are making us believe, what they're promising us, and how it affects our behaviors and our thought processes, and then how that can take us into a negative spiral. So it's important to think about when we're hoping to lose weight or make more money or have the better car or the better house or whatever the resolution happens to be, it's really important to dig just below that and start to think about what it is we're really hoping for. Because anyone who's gotten a new fancy car knows that, a week or two after getting it, the novelty is worn off and you're right back to where you were, right? Even women who have, there's this big recurrence after people lose a lot of weight. They gain it back, and there are many, I'm generalizing a little bit here, but one of the many things that women will find when they lose the weight is that they thought life would be different, and it's not, right? They thought that all of these things would happen that don't happen. And so what is it that they're typically hoping for? What women are actually asking for when they want to lose weight as a New Year's resolution is they want to feel good in their skin. They want to feel like they've got it together. They want to feel like they're recuperating after a season of indulgence, to feel open to new possibilities, to start fresh, to feel rhythm and routine, to feel attractive, desirable, sexy, sensual, to feel the success of sticking with something, and what else? You guys feel free to type in, like when you're hoping to shift your body, or maybe there's another, more superficial resolution that you have. It's like, what's underneath of it? What's really there, right? It's really important to know what that is. Because, a typical New Year's resolution, statistically speaking, is only going to last maybe 22 days. Maybe till the end of February. Something like 88% of New Year's resolutions, especially when they're related to weight and exercise and food, fail by February. And when it comes to weight loss, what we know about weight loss via traditional methods is that they fail 95% of the time, long term. So we have an 88% failure rate of New Year's resolutions in general. When it comes to weight, the failure rate goes up to 95%. It's insane. And not only that, but when for those who actually join the group program and get into the Food Freedom Body Love method, you'll start to learn about all of the collateral damage that also happens when we diet and then gain weight back, and diet and gain weight back, or diet and never lose weight, but just keep on that sort of yo-yo roller coaster. There is a significant amount of mental, emotional, and very real physical collateral damage that happens. So with this huge failure rate, what do we lose? We don't just lose our New Year's resolution. We lose all of those things that we were hoping to feel, like we have it together, and like we're successful, and we're attractive, and we have access to health and happiness and all of these things, right? We don't just lose the resolution. We ultimately lose something much bigger than that, which is how we actually want to feel in our lives. And so, one of the emails that I sent out, if you're on the newsletter list, is that our goals need to be so much bigger. And I don't mean that we need to be shooting for like major life overhaul change. That's not what I mean. We can be making tiny baby steps, but toward a loftier goal. Like, can we dream a little bigger than just changing our bodies, And can we take baby steps toward living the life we actually want to live without having to change our body to get there, and then see what happens, right? Like, let's bypass this goal with a really high failure rate that's bound to make us feel like we're not good enough, and let's just go after what we really want. Let's just do that. And so today, what I'm going to be talking about more specifically is not just like life in general, but the winter. Like, how do we do that over the course of these winter months? Because winter can be super tricky for a lot of people. So let me just see. I just want to take a really quick break here to see if you guys are writing in. Okay. Love to learn how to raise my daughter to not feel body shame and be obsessed with food. Amazing. Any woman, I will say that one of the biggest things when it comes to kids is actually you yourself not being in diet mentality, because it is so tricky in the world we live in to not pass on diet culture messaging when we are living in it and we don't know. And so one of the byproducts of doing the Food Freedom Body Love method, whether you do it individually or in the group program with me, is that you are better equipped to deal with your daughters. And then once you have that foundation, I'm 100% open to maybe we do that as another webinar. We make it another discussion where we talk about kids. Losing weight. Oh yeah, you guys got it. Yeah, I'm just checking in here that you guys are knowing that losing weight is always, of course, the first New Year's resolution. Okay. So you guys got it. You got it. You're on board. Moving on up. Okay, so this year, like I said, let's do things differently. Let's make a goal to go after the feelings that we're looking for instead of these superficial goals that are bound to fail. Okay? Okay. What we're going to cover today. And obviously, I'm not going to keep you here forever. I could talk about each of these things for hours, literally. So I'm going to cover these things fairly quickly. Again, feel free to leave questions and then I'll go back at the end and try to cover them all. Yeah, and I'll just do my best. And again, we're really going to be focused on winter because that's where we're at right now. We're not going to, cover, life in general. We're going to focus on winter. So first thing, what happens to our body in the winter months? And this is really interesting because I think that, one of the things that diet culture sells us is that all human beings are the same biochemically and thermodynamically, meaning that we, break food down the same way and we store it the same way and we burn it the same way, and that we do it the exact same way all year round in all conditions at all ages. And excuse my French, but it's just bullshit. Like, it's just not true. And anyone who's even mildly in touch with their body knows that you feel different in your body in the fall and in the winter and in the spring and in the summer. You crave different foods. Your energy levels are different. And I'm, again, really speaking to the Northern Hemisphere here. I can't really speak to the Southern because I've never lived there. But in the winter months, especially here in Canada, it's like -20 outside right now. Our bodies work differently in the winter when it's cold. Our bodies work differently when there is more dark, and our chemistry changes and it pushes us to behave differently if we're willing to listen. One of the things that happens in the winter, our metabolism goes down. Cold weather makes our metabolism go down. I'll also mention that this can happen in the biggest heat of the summer as well, right? Really extreme temperatures, whether it's hot or cold, will actually cause our metabolism to shift downward. We tend to feel the most vital, at least here in Canada, in the in-between seasons, right? Where the weather is just more temperate, because our bodies are more primed to act appropriately. Or sorry, not appropriately, at the highest function when we're in temperate weather. Our metabolism goes down. Our appetite goes up in the winter. And again, so many women think that this is a problem, right? Like that, and they're trying to fight it. It's like, you can't fight it. It's your biochemistry. Your appetite goes up in the winter. And not only does it go up, but you're going to crave heavier foods. Foods that are a little bit more fatty, a little bit more caloric heavy, complex carbohydrates. You're going to crave them. Number one, your body needs the serotonin because of the dark, right? Our vitamin D levels go down. It's really easy to start feeling a bit low. And so our body craves serotonin. Our body also craves foods that are going to stick with us, that like stick to your ribs kind of foods. Our body's craving foods that are going to stick with us and have a slow, constant heat release. Our bodies are trying to maintain temperature. And so this is a really normal shift in the winter months. And we can work with it, or we can try to fight it and, be in a losing spiral for the winter. That's sort of the reality, right? Again, the dark, we tend to feel like we want to hibernate. And what I often see with body image at this time of year is that, body image is not really about our bodies at all, which I know is a big leap for anyone who hasn't done in-depth work with me. But go with it here, Body image isn't really about what your body looks like. Body image is a reflection of how we feel about ourselves, and is often deeply linked to how we are caring for ourselves. And so there's two things that I sort of see happen in the winter months. One is this like denial that it's the winter, and I'm going to totally ignore it, and I'm going to try to like be a raw food vegan, and I'm going to try to exercise and run really hard every day and just keep going at the typical pace that I always go at. And I see burnout. you know? Or I see women kind of falling into an unconscious winter pattern. And what I mean by that is you're kind of more tired, you're more lethargic, you're craving heavier foods, and it's just like, bleh, I can't fight this. And you find yourself, you know, eating chocolate and drinking a whole lot of caffeine and numbing out in front of Netflix every night. And it doesn't feel that good because it's not very intentional. You know, it's not like I'm moving into winter in this really beautiful way. It's just kind of like bleh. And you start to feel like a blob. And then you start beating up on your body and blaming your body for everything, right? Because body image is a reflection of how we feel about ourselves and how we are caring for ourselves. And so what I want to do is give you 5 steps to consciously, intentionally ease into the winter vibe, to the situation that is winter. Okay? So let me just very quickly, I'm just going to really quickly check in and see how you guys are doing again. April says she has a new journal. That's great. If you have a journal or paper, that's really good because there's one exercise we're going to do in a little bit that will be, you know, it'll be really good if you have a piece of paper handy. Anyone else? How is this landing? Everything okay? You guys are with me here? Winter's different. It's challenging. It feels different. And we have to work with it instead of fighting it. All good? Everybody's all good with that. Okay. Okay, so moving on. Step number 1, let's talk about how to feed ourselves intuitively and seasonally. So again, for those who haven't worked with me, intuitive eating is one of the things that we dive into in both a group program and one-on-one sessions. And what intuitive eating is a shift from continually focusing on external food plans given to us, you know, like eat this many servings or this many calories or this many points a day of these foods and listen to me and I know what's best for you and this is how much you should be eating every day and this is what you should be eating and don't listen to your body, do as I say. That's the sort of external method. You know, we rely on experts and nutritionists and other people to tell us what to eat and how much every single day. Intuitive eating is the opposite. Intuitive eating is all about tuning back into what our bodies are asking for, getting reacquainted with hunger and full, getting reacquainted with the cravings that we have and why we're having them and what's driving us. And so how to feed ourselves intuitively and seasonally, you know, what our bodies tend to be asking for. And again, this is not prescriptive because I'm not the expert here when it comes to intuitive eating. You are, right? And you know, I can teach you how to get in touch with your intuition and what your body's asking for, but you need to be the one that responds, right? And I can't go into the full, it's a bit of work to really get into intuitive eating. So I can't fully get into the method here, but I will say that in the winter, I've got a candle that's like going bonkers here. I gotta blow it out. In the winter, what our body tends to crave is warm foods. Like in Chinese medicine, when the temperatures are cooler and it's darker, you don't want to feed your body more cold things or raw things that take a ton of energy to digest. Like our body just doesn't love it. So at this time of year, when it comes to feeding ourselves intuitively and seasonally, I want you to think about warm, slow cooked, seasonal foods, which would be like root vegetables, soups, stews, complex carbohydrates like whole grains, oats, rice. Think about warm drinks. And again, I try to get women to think about finding some warm drinks that aren't coffee. Because it's easy at this time of year when we're craving warm drinks to just go back to the coffee pot over and over and over again. And caffeine will actually do a number on our system, right? It really is hard on our adrenal glands. So I encourage women to think about warm water with lemon, herbal teas, hot cacao mix. Four Stigmatic makes a totally amazing mushroom coffee blend that's actually really nourishing for our adrenal glands. Different, you know? So I want you to think about ways that you could be listening to what your body's asking for, feeding it in a more seasonal way. Again, think soups, stews, whole grains, even when it comes to fruit. You know, you can think about making stewed fruit, right? Which is just like, you know, stone fruits that are actually soaked in juice and warmed up. It's easier on our bodies. It's easier to digest. It gives our bodies the calories, the denseness, the heaviness that we're looking for, so that we're not always looking for it in sugar and processed foods, right? But if we're terrified of carbohydrate, if we're continually trying to limit carbohydrates and heaviness, what we'll find ourselves doing is actually going towards the processed foods, because our body's just reaching for quick calories, energy, ways to keep our bodies, you know, to keep our temperature stable. So feeding yourself intuitively and seasonally means listening to your body. If you feel a bit more hungry in the winter, it's normal. If you are craving heavier foods in the winter, it's normal, you know? And how can we lean into that? How can we account for that when we're meal planning for the week? How can we make ourselves more dense, wholesome, whole grain, higher healthy fat meals, so that we aren't reaching for the caffeine and the sugar to sort of fill the gap when it comes to energy? 2, winter movement. Now, I'm going to talk about intuitive movement in the winter, but I'll just say that for me, the visual ways movement feels right for you. So if you have, feels really good. I know how I like to move it. There are years where for me it has felt really good to run all winter. It's all about tapping into what feels best for you and knowing that you're the expert and going with it. So I'm not prescribing but I will suggest that our bodies do feel a little slower in the winter, right? Our metabolism goes down. And sometimes trying to force ourselves to do really exhaustive cardio through the winter can actually deplete us. Like, it doesn't actually make us feel better. Exercise is a stress on our body. And if winter is already feeling like a stress, then adding more stress to it is not always the best thing. Again, in our culture, we're trained to believe that like exercise, especially really aggressive exercise, is healthy. It is only healthy for you if it feels good in your body. If it is not feeling good, it may not be the right thing for you for a number of reasons. So what I tend to suggest for women who feel slower and more tired and more sluggish in the winter is not to let go of movement. That's not the answer. That's when we get into that unconscious place in the winter where we start to actually just feel like a blob. Our body wants to move. No doubt about it. We're not bears, like we're not designed to like go into a hole and not move for 3 months. We are designed to move. What I suggest is that women look to more gentle, seasonal movement. And so for me, what that looks like, again, not a prescription. These are just suggestions. For me, what that looks like is things like yoga, Pilates, restorative yoga, especially stretching my body, maintaining flexibility in these cold winter months, and then balancing that out with actually getting my body out into the fresh air. So I love to walk, and I'll walk during the day when the sun is out, so I actually get the benefits of some cold, fresh air and sunshine. I also love to walk in the evenings, after dinner. Just bundle up in really cozy clothes and get outside for a walk. It also looks like taking advantage of things like ice skating and snowshoeing and cross-country skiing. And you don't have to do all of it. You can pick one thing to try this winter. Like, that's the other thing about all of the stuff that I'm talking about here. I'm planting seeds, and what I ideally want you to do is to pick and choose what feels really good for you and try one or two things. You do not have to do it all, right? But I love this idea of balancing, more quiet, potentially warm inward movement like hot yoga or Pilates or a restorative yoga class with getting outside and actually moving your body and getting some fresh air. And it doesn't need to be long and it doesn't need to be hard. It just needs to be you outside moving. That's it. Okay. And again, the main topics that I've talked about so far: body image, intuitive eating, movement. These are all things that we dive so deeply into in the group program, which is starting on January 22nd. So if you're on the cusp, if this is interesting to you, if you want to learn more about it, then you need to get in the group. And I'll make sure to link to that because there's a special deal going on for today and today only for those of you who are interested. So intuitive eating, intuitive movement, winter, what's happening with our body in the winter, and body image, that's all stuff. It's all big. We could talk about it for a really, really, really long time. But I just wanted to give you, a taste of that. So let me just check in. How are you guys doing? Oh, shoot. It's cutting in and out. Are we okay now? Let me just check here. Are we okay now? I'm just going to wait for a sec and see. Someone said it was cutting in and out. How are we doing? Can you guys hear me and see me at the moment? Just checking in. You can hear me. You can see me. Yes, I'm getting hearts. Correct? Better now. Okay. I'm going to go back to the slides just for a minute. And if it's cutting out while I'm on the slides, then maybe I'll come back to just chatting if that's going to work better. We'll see how it goes. Okay, good. People are better. So, what I was talking about, I'm not sure exactly where it cut out, but what I was talking about was winter movement and the idea that I'm not providing a prescription, and if you have a movement plan that's working for you, then you just need to go with that. But in the winter months, what I tend to love to recommend is a balance of slower, warmer, more restorative exercise like warm yoga, Pilates, restorative yin yoga, with getting outside in the fresh air and actually being in the season. There's something invigorating and refreshing, and there's this amazing effect on your body when you actually bundle up and get out into the cold, fresh air and sunshine. It changes. It will change you, and so I recommend that. I recommend, even if it's just a walk, if that's the biggest thing you do this winter, is just regularly get outside for a walk. That is a perfect place to start. If you're ready to branch out from there, then, I suggest snowshoeing or doing bigger hikes. Cross-country skiing is one of my favorite things to do. And again, it doesn't need to be long or hard or difficult. Ice skating, going downtown to ice skate. We get the kids out for a half an hour. We all feel different. We just feel different. We feel better. So that's intuitive movement through the winter. How are we doing? Is everything okay? Are you guys still able to hear me? No problem. Hear me and see me? No problem. I'm just going to wait one more sec. Can you hear me and see me? No problem. I'm just going to wait one more sec to see if you guys can hear me and see me, because I don't want to like shift out if you can't hear me and see me. So good to see all of you guys in here. Okay, good. You can hear me and see me. So I'm going to shift to the slides, and then I'll come back after a slide to see how we're doing. Okay? And if it cuts out at that point, then I'll just stick with me. Okay? Not that you all want to, you know. Okay. So, step 3, or what I recommend is the third thing, is cultivating winter rhythms and routines. And so this is those steps toward a really intentional, beautiful welcome of winter. And so this is about not just going unconscious and being like, it's dark and I'm tired and, you know, I hate life, and so I'm just going to be a blob on the couch, and then I'm going to feel bad about my body and blame my body for it. This is about like, it's winter, it's cold, it's dark, and I need to intentionally create a beautiful, cozy environment. In the Scandinavian countries, they call it hygge. Okay, in Scandinavian countries where it's very dark for a very long period of the year, they actually have a word for creating this feeling of coziness and warmth and light. We have to make it for ourselves because the season is not making it. So a couple of suggestions. Bring the light in. And what that looks like is maybe leaving a strand or two of twinkle lights up through the winter. Lighting candles in the early morning or the evening. My kids love this. It's such a simple thing to do, and yet it feels festive and cozy and warm and beautiful. And lighting the candles at breakfast and dinner becomes part of the rhythm and routine of our meal. And it brings light in and it makes us feel cozy. Lighting fires if you have a fireplace. Not if you don't. Meditation and quiet. Winter is a season of going inward and slowing down. And it could feel like sadness or depression, or it could feel like rest, you know? And again, I'm not speaking to people who have like seasonal affective disorder or actual depression. You know, if you have those things, you know, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about those of us who just are mildly affected by the season because of the season that it is, you know? Meditation, quiet, cultivating and leaning into the season and what it has to offer, which is insight, you know? In the quiet, we get better tuned into our intuition that helps us eat intuitively and move intuitively and make decisions that are good for us. But we need to allow it to happen. And we're not used to it. It's uncomfortable. It's a bit messy to sit in the quiet. It's a lot easier to sit in front of Netflix. I know, because I resort to it all the time, you know? And so it's not about replacing one with the other. Like, I'm going to cut out TV and whatever. It's about doing both. You know, I talk about this a lot with emotional eating. It's not about cutting out all of the overeating or all of the emotional eating and replacing it with, you know, a new, better coping mechanism. It's like cultivating both. Cultivate new coping mechanisms. Cultivate new ways of being in the winter while allowing these other things to play out as the new coping mechanisms get stronger. Warm, cozy clothes. One of the things that I realized a few winters ago was that I hated the winter because I was not dressed appropriately. You know, it's like, it's hard to enjoy winter when you are freezing cold all the time. I invested a small amount of money in super cozy leggings and sweatshirts for dropping the kids off and picking them up. I have slowly, year by year, accumulated a proper winter coat, proper winter boots. it's also difficult to feel good in your body and to have a positive body image when you're physically uncomfortable. This is a really important step to feeling good in your body, is just having clothes that feel good on you. And then warm drinks, which, I've already mentioned. So those are some really great winter routines. How are we doing? Are we all good? Bye, Hannah. Come on back when you can. Is everybody still with me? Was it okay when I was with the slides? Everyone seems to be okay. Nobody's commenting that I'm cutting out. So I'm hoping that that's going well. There's a bit of a delay, so I have to sort of wait to see how you guys are doing. Everyone can hear me. I'm just checking in to see that everyone can hear and see while I'm on the slides. I just have a few more. I know we're at 9:40. I don't want to keep you too long, but I've just got a couple more slides to go through if you guys are doing okay here. Okay, good. Good. I'm seeing hearts. I'm seeing perfect. Perfect. Okay. So, number 4. Only 2 more steps left here, guys. Number 4 are self-care routines. I have a number of things here because one of the things I talked about way back to what's happening to our body in winter and body image is that it's very easy at this time of year to sort of let go of our self-care routines, and body image is a direct reflection of how we're caring for ourselves. And so I just came up with a short list of things that you can easily do in your own home that will cultivate this feeling of beautiful self-care and lends itself to a positive body image, even in months where we're feeling a little bit more slow and tired and, potentially feeling a little bit less motivated. So the first thing I have here is dry skin brushing. I don't know if any of you are aware of what dry skin brushing is. I love it. It's just using a brush. I should have brought one in with me. That's okay. I'll just describe it. Any kind of body scrubbing brush. I like one that has natural bristles with a wood handle. And you just very lightly rub it on your dry skin from your extremities toward your heart. So from your hands toward your heart, from your feet up your legs, up your belly to your heart. From your, you can do it on your face and neck down toward your heart. Very lightly scrubbing. And what this does on your dry skin is it actually encourages lymphatic flow. It gets the fluids in your body moving. It's incredibly good for your immune system. And it also, in the winter when our skin is so dry, it actually helps to exfoliate us a little bit as well. So it's just a dry brush on dry skin, 2 minutes before you get in the shower. It's incredibly invigorating. The next one is hot, cold showers. Now it sounds awful, but I will tell you that hot, cold showers are a hydrotherapy technique that get our metabolism going. Because again, remember in the winter, our metabolism slows down. And so hot, cold showers are a beautiful way to rev things up a little bit. Now, it's not like I'm encouraging you to stand under a cold shower for a long period of time, because remember, it's winter, and feeding ourselves really cold, raw things is hard on our body, and putting ourselves in cold water can be hard on our body. It is typically a 3-to-1 warm-cold ratio. So you're in a nice warm, it could even be hot as you can manage it, shower for 3 minutes. And then for a minute or even 30 seconds, you blast yourself with a bit of cold. And again, it sounds awful, but when you start doing it, you start to realize how, number one, how energetic and invigorated you feel, because it actually gets your metabolism going. And number two, it actually helps with making you feel warmer throughout the day in the winter months. It's totally amazing. So The major thing is a 3-to-1-ish ratio with hot cold. And you could also do this, like have a normal shower, and then at the very end of the shower, do like 30 seconds hot, 10 seconds cold, and do it a few times. The major thing is a 3-to-1 hot cold ratio while you do it, and to end with cold. And then get out and really bundle yourself up. Like lots of towels, get yourself into cozy clothes. Feels amazing. Beauty baths. So this is something that I'm like kind of new to. And I'm going to link to, I'll see if I can find one and link to it. But beauty baths are these like amazing beauty rituals that women would have done hundreds of years ago. And they involve like, covering your entire body with honey and your hair, and then getting into a bath with certain milks, like, goat milks or whatever it happens to be. But they're these like beauty rituals essentially. And I think at a time of year when we can feel so when our skin feels bleh and our hair feels bleh and everything feels bleh, I really love this idea of a beauty bath. So I'll see, because I'm new to it, I'll see if I can find a link so you can actually just read more about it. Essential oils. I love using essential oils. Sage does beautiful oils. Young Living does beautiful oils. Currently I'm using a lot of doTERRA. Right now I've got Anchor. I don't know if you can see it. I have Anchor diffusing and On Me. At this time of year, diffusing beautiful like woody oils like cedarwood, things like frankincense with cinnamon and lavender. It's just warming and grounding, and it's so beautiful. Massage. I always recommend regular deep tissue massage for your metabolism, your immune system, all of the above. Okay. So before I finish, let me just check in again. Oh yeah, like a sauna and then jumping in a cold lake. Exactly. Will it help with eczema? Possibly. It could. It could totally help. It could totally help with eczema. Dry skin brushing is beautiful. I think those beauty routines could also really help with eczema as well. Like a sauna and jumping. Yeah, totally. Going to the Nordique. That's also, like, for anyone who's in Canada, the Nordique is like a hydrotherapy spa, right? Where we go in hot and cold. So it seems like everybody's doing well, and I'm still, you can see me and everything, so I'm just going to keep going forward. Last thing is define your North Star. I think it's very helpful through the winter months to have a vision and a purpose carrying you forward. And at this time of year, I think it's really, we want to like set the goal for the whole year. And don't get me wrong, I totally do that. But I think it's also really interesting to define North Stars for shorter periods of time. And because we're talking about winter, like let's talk about defining your North Star for the winter months. So the very simple exercise that I want you to do, and it's best done in writing. You can just visualize it at first if you want, but ultimately you want to have it down in writing. Is I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to draw a line right down the middle. And on the left-hand side at the top, I want you to write, my why, like my why for me. It's like what it is you most want over the next few months. And then on the right-hand side, why for the world. It's kind of like, what's your purpose in the world? What is it that you're hoping for humanity as a whole? What are you hoping for, on a smaller level, your family, your community? What is it that you hope to bring to the world? So the left is all about you and what you most want for you, your why. And then on the right is the why for the world. So it's how you hope to contribute in a bigger way. And the two questions that I want you to answer under both columns is, how do I most want to feel? How will it feel? And what's my ideal situation? Right? It's like the why for you. How do I most want to feel? And what's my ideal situation over the next couple of months? How do I want to feel? And ideally, how would life look over the next couple of months? And then do the same for your contribution to the greater world and how you want, your family and community, how you want that to feel, and ideally how you want it to look. And I just want you to like free write. Do it for like 20 minutes. Don't worry about getting it perfect. Don't worry about, maybe the feeling is stronger and the ideal is harder for you to find, or vice versa. Just play around with it, see what comes up for you. And, don't worry about it being perfect. Don't worry about the hows, like how it's going to happen. Don't worry about that. You don't need to worry about any of that. This is just about getting down, for the next 3 or 4 months. How do I want to feel, and what's my ideal for me as an individual and for the greater community and world that I live in? How do I want that to look? And this, it's just such, and then get it down on paper, try to summarize it, get it down into, a small sentence or two, and then have it pinned up on your wall. Have it on your bulletin board, have it on your fridge, have it on your computer. Let it lead the way. Because again, if you remember all the way back to the beginning of this, what we most want is to feel good. We want to feel like we've got it together, like we're successful, like we're contributing. And this is the shortest, fastest way to get there, is to be connected to our North Star. So that's just a really simple writing exercise to get you there. And again, the end result is we get all of those things that we were hoping weight loss or food restriction or food manipulation or eating and exercising perfectly would get us. And we don't need to do anything perfectly. We can have all of the things we were hoping for without the diet mentality. We can feel good in our skin. We can feel like we've got it together. We can recuperate from a season of indulgence in a really, really beautiful way. And the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is, if this is interesting for you, if it's new for you, if it's something that's interesting to you and you want to go deeper into it, there's going to be 2 ways to do that this year. The first is the Food Freedom Body Love Method online group program, kicking off January 22nd. I will put a link with this that gives you $100 off. It is only good for today and today alone. After today, it goes up to $350 for the program, which is worth every penny. If you want to be done fighting food in your body, it is worth every single penny. And the second is the collective, where we're going to get into more of these rhythms and routines and, these beautiful things that start to fuel our body image and is the counter narrative to the diet talk that we get all the time. And the collective is going to be free for all of you who are in this group. We are going to have monthly themes. My only request is you get your friends in here. If this is going to be a social movement, then I need your help. I need you to help me make it a social movement. And so, what I most need are you guys getting your friends in here and, getting them on board with getting out of diet culture. That's what I most want. That's my North Star for this year, is getting as many women out of diet culture as possible. So that's it for today. I'm going to leave this on the page for the next day or 2 if you want to revisit it. For those who are on my newsletter list, I'm going to send it out if you want to watch it again. And if you have any questions, I'll just stick around for a few minutes. I know there's like a bit of a delay, so I'll stick around for a few minutes and see where you guys are at. Where are you at? And you can also feel free to message me or leave a note if this was helpful for you, if it was interesting. I really encourage you to check out the collective on my website and check out the monthly themes that are going to be coming up. They're beautiful. And, what I really want it to be is this like burst of inspiration that you get every week to really, baby step into a really positive body image and intuitive eating and intuitive movement. And I just want to be that voice in your ear that is encouraging you to stay away from diet mentality and love the body that you're in. So you guys let me know. Click some buttons. Ask some questions. Let me know how this has been for you, if it's been interesting, helpful, again, what you want more of. Thanks, Suzanne. Can't wait to see you in there. You can always email me with questions too, if it's hard to ask in a group. Perfect timing. Good, 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 good. This is what I want to hear. Oh, you're welcome, Erin. Again, the best thing that you guys could do for me is get women in this group so we can deepen this conversation. Let's make it bigger. All right, so